And now I'm noticing a little bit of droopage, it looks like, in the frame here. What is happening, all 100,000 of you LARPers out there? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're gonna be taking a first look in a 500 round review of the Springfield Hellcat Pro Comp that you see right here. This gun was provided to me by Springfield, so full disclosure, this was sent to me. But I did provide everything else, including my camera, obviously my time, and 500 rounds worth of ammunition. That's quite a bit of rounds to put through this thing. It is more of a concealed carry type geared firearm. So I'm gonna do a test that you guys will unlikely ever be in this situation to do, especially because he's only shipped with 2 mags. So we're gonna be loading constantly. We're only gonna cut this video to load. That way you guys see everything that happens with this pistol, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm very excited about this. Springfield brought this onto the market to compete with the extremely successful SIG P365X Macro Comp, which we do have here today. And we have 2 versions of it. We have the non-comp and the comp version, actually. So these are both versions of that pistol. This is the comp version, obviously. This is the non-comp version. But I'm very excited about this thing because unlike the extremely successful SIG, this thing has an actual ported barrel. So it's not just a shorter barrel with ports in the slide. It actually has a ported barrel corresponding with a port in the slide itself. So as you can see, I do believe this is going to do a lot to reduce recoil, actually more so than the SIG does. But we will see, okay? I'll just show you guys what I was talking about there with that slide, just having the ports in the slide and the barrel actually being shorter versus the actual ported and comped Hellcat Pro that you see right here. So this is the Springfield with the actual port in the barrel, and then the shorter barrel on the actual SIG. So you guys can see them kind of back to back to understand what we're really working with here. Now, one thing to note is after that port there, there's no more rifling in that barrel on the Springfield. So it is essentially just a faux barrel after that. The bullet is not engaging with anything on the barrel after that. So it's still reducing the velocity, but what this is going to do is actually give you a longer amount of gas going up, deflecting the gas so that you have less recoil. I don't know what the scientific term for that is, but we'll find out today if we can actually tell a difference. Just right off the bat, the grip is about the same length, maybe a tiny bit shorter without the mags in it on the Hellcat Pro Comp versus the SIG. But the Hellcat Pro Comp with a flush fit fits 15 rounds and the SIG fits 17 rounds. And now let's just since we're talking about it, let's bring up both mags here. So here is the SIG mag and here is the flush fit Springfield mag. So you can tell right there that the SIG is a bit longer, but when you pop this 15 rounder out and you put the 17 rounder in that it comes with, then the grip lengths are literally exactly the same. So now, while I have your attention and before we start the shooting portion of the video, let's just talk really quickly about what comes in the box. Obviously, it comes with the gun itself. It comes with 2 mags, 1 flush fit 15 round mag that you see right here, and 1 extended mag with a little pinky slot and some stippling that fits 17 rounds of 9mm. It comes with a little carrying bag that you see right here. Okay, so nothing fancy, but you can take it into a local gun store. Shout out Nothing Fancy. And then a little chamber flag, at least mine came with a little chamber flag, and then the Springfield lock that nobody uses, and the speed loader. So that is everything that comes in the box. Now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna start loading up mags. We're not gonna cut for anything besides loading mags, guys. So you see everything that happens with this gun from start to finish. I just try to be completely transparent with you guys. Although Springfield did send me this gun, they did not obviously pay for any kind of positive review. That's not who I am. You guys are gonna see everything that happens to this gun. And then at the end, I'll give you my opinion about whether or not it's worth it to either upgrade to this if you already have a Hellcat Pro or original Hellcat, or whether you should go with this over something like the SIG. But before we get into all that and start the shooting portion, I just want to shout out the biggest sponsor of the channel, that is brownells.com. So if you guys do want to support the channel, head on over to brownells.com, use bro code RDB10, saves you guys 10% off over there, as well as Downrange Thermal, RDB5 over at Downrange Thermal, saves you guys 5% off. They're our thermal sponsor of the channel. So big shout out to those guys. Also, Battlehawk Armory. If you guys do want to shop over at Battlehawk Armory, you could use RDB just to let them know I sent you over there, and that does also support the channel. Now, with that being said, the reason I choose the sponsors the way that I do is because you can buy any number of firearms from these distributors, Brownells, whether it be Battlehawk, whoever it is. You can buy any number of brands, companies, weapons, ammunition, tools. I'm not advocating for you guys to go spend money that you don't need to spend or you don't have. I want you guys to get what you want, but also this gun that I'm reviewing, if you like it, great, go ahead and buy it. But you can also buy any other number of things from them using that discount code and support the channel. So I don't have any financial incentive to give this gun a good review because you guys can buy whatever you want from Brownells. If I do like it, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't. And as you guys know, give my honest feedback in real time, guys. I'm not gonna go home, edit this, and really think over it really hard. I'm gonna give you my first impression because that's what this video is. So enough talking, let's get to shooting. All right, guys, we're about to start shooting. We have 4 15-round mags loaded up since my buddy Sweetie and Shoots here had his Springfield, which actually the mags are compatible. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we have 4 15-round mags loaded up. Obviously the one it came with and the 2 that he had, as well as the 17-rounder. We're gonna start with the 17-rounder first. And so these are the first rounds. I haven't oiled this at all. I literally pulled this out of the box. So we'll see how this goes. I maybe should have put some oil on it because we're about to put 500 rounds through it. But chambered the first round. So let's see, you guys get a good view on camera here. All right, first rounds, first impressions, let's see what we do. Okay, I am about 5 yards away from the target right now, but that is all within a fist-size hole. Actually very impressive for what it is and how small it is. It's not very snappy at all. Let's put another mag in it and keep shooting. So this is one of, actually, let's use the OEM mag first. If we have any issues, we know it's not an old mag causing them. So here we go again. Again, that group just opened up a tiny bit, still flawless. The recoil impulse is extremely manageable, again, for how small it is. Even with this 15-round flush fit mag, it fits my hand like a Glock 19, where my pinky is just kind of half on, half off, but still incredibly fun to shoot. All A zone. I know we're at 5 yards, but I'm just mag dumping as fast as I can at this point. Trigger's got a really long reset. I'd say kind of the only thing I'm noticing so far that I don't love about this is that trigger, the reset on it, but it's got a really crisp break. So far, so good. All right, that's 4 mags down. Let's see, 15 times 3, 45. We're looking at 62 rounds approximately, exactly, 62 rounds. I'm looking at my panel of mathematicians over here. All right, so now that we got those first 4 mags down, we're gonna pause. We're gonna reload these mags. I'm gonna think about kind of my experience with it so far. It's getting a little dry. It's getting pretty hot, pretty toasty. That's one thing about these small guns, especially with the SIG even. That slide got extremely hot really quickly, and I was wondering if this would do the same. It is very, very hot right now. So I'm gonna set this thing down. We're gonna load up as fast as we can so we don't give it too much time to cool down, and then we'll start shooting again. All right, guys, we got the mags loaded up. We're gonna shoot this thing again. Again, starting with the 17-round mag. Chambered the first one really well. Let's see how it does. This thing is getting pretty hot, but it is shooting phenomenally well, guys. Wow. For how small it is, this thing is shooting incredibly well. I mean, let's just keep shooting it. You guys are here to see me shoot it, see how reliable it is, so let's just keep doing that. All right, guys, we have 4 more mags loaded up again. Once again, starting with the 17-round mag. This barrel is bone dry. The slide is extremely hot. I mean, I'll burn myself if I leave my hand on there too long. So let's just keep shooting it. That's what you guys came here for. Ooh, I can't even touch the takedown lever. It's so hot. Nice. Yeah, this thing is getting really toasty, guys. This thing's getting super hot, still 100% reliable. Get a little closer for you guys to see the gun. Last mag. Wow, still 100% reliable through, I'm not sure exactly how many rounds, but let's pause, reload, keep shooting. All right, guys, so we were just reloading and I was just putting a little bit of oil in this thing, which I didn't want to cheat and put oil on it because I wanted you guys to see everything that was happening. And I wanted to just let it see if it would run dry, but it was getting so hot. I didn't want to put unnecessary wear and tear on my gun. And now I'm noticing a little bit of droopage, it looks like, in the frame here. So can you guys see that? And I pulled down it a little bit and it seemed like it came down a little bit more. And I could push up on it too. You see that gap opening and closing. So yeah, all I was doing was actually lock the slide to the rear, put oil on the barrel itself, and then put oil on the top of the barrel on the slide rails underneath here as well. Oiled it up. I mean, it's so hot I could barely touch it. And then I noticed that, and I don't know if that was there beforehand or not. I guess we could review the footage and see if that gap was there ahead of time or if it gets bigger. But I did just want to point that out, that was something we noticed. So, all right, guys. So I'm not sure exactly what was causing this kind of to droop, but there's a lot of play in it right now. The gun's still super hot. So while it's hot, I want to keep shooting this. You see, I can pull it down. I just want to keep shooting it and see if it persists. But again, we only have 4 mags here. So in a very unrealistic situation of just mag dumping a carry gun like this. Still 0 malfunctions. Again, still 0 malfunctions, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this thing. If it's drooping or if it's just an optical illusion here. You guys tell me. Should I be able to easily, just with the tip of my fingers, pull that down? I don't know if it's supposed to do that. So we're definitely going to hit up Springfield, let them know what we're finding with this. And I don't know if anyone else has had this or seen anything like this. Obviously, the more I grab it, the easier it is to pull down. But even just with the tips of my fingers, I can pull it down quite a bit. And there's a gap there. So we're going to reload and just try to keep this thing hot, I guess, because I didn't realize that would happen. But I owe it to you guys to test it out. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to load it up again and keep shooting it. All right, mags are loaded. Let's keep shooting it. Yeah, probably. Thanks, honey. Still no malfunctions. All right, this thing is super hot. Again, it looks to me like that gap is getting a little bit bigger. Let's pause the camera and reload. It looks like this thing is getting the gap is getting a little bit bigger. Again, that's up to you guys to decide if that's normal, but let's keep shooting. It's not through the 500 round test yet. 0 malfunctions, I will mention, 0 malfunctions. All right, just loaded up 4 more mags. That probably took us about 3 or 4 minutes maybe. Slide is still very hot. Actually shoots phenomenally well, guys. This is going to be pretty disappointing if this frame issue becomes a thing. Obviously, I'm having to adjust my grip because the frame is so hot, including the takedown lever as well, actually. And may I add, this is a completely unrealistic test. If I haven't already said that, it's not realistic at all, but that's why I do this shit, so you guys don't have to. Last mag. Yeah, just so you guys can see exactly what we're working with. It's actually going to be pretty disappointing if this is a thing, because, and it may just be one end of an extreme on the tolerances. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm not a gun builder. I'm not a gunsmith, but it seems like when this thing gets pretty hot, it's affecting that a little bit. Now, again, because you can see the rest of the slide fitment, and then right at the tip, it just kind of splays out a little bit. Let's load up again and keep shooting it. All right, guys, welcome back to the studio portion. So unfortunately, I accidentally just deleted the last 4 mags of that test, making some room on my memory card. It was a stupid mistake, and I apologize to all you guys for not being able to actually show you the rest of the 500 round review. However, if you're watching this channel, obviously you trust my opinion. You know that I would not lie to you guys, and the rail did not slouch any further than it had in the previous 4 mags. It actually just went to that original position after like, I think 8 mags, around there, maybe 6 mags. And then I noticed it around after the 8th mag, and then it just stayed with that same gap of separation through the end of the test, although we were loading and shooting even faster once we noticed it. So I'm about to roll in the footage of what happened to the gun after it had cooled down. And by cooled down, it was sitting in the bed of my truck in the shade. We just hadn't shot it for an hour and a half. We started shooting some other guns for some other reviews. And then when I pulled the gun out to put it away, because it was so hot, I just left it sitting in the bed of the truck to cool down before I put it back in the case. When I pulled it back out, the frame had returned to its original position. So I'll roll in that footage right here so you can see it. All right, so I just pulled the Hellcat out of the back of the bed of the truck because I had called it a day. I was going to do some more comparison videos between the macro and whatnot, but when we had that droop on that rail, I just called it a day because I was honestly concerned about the firearm. But as you can see, it returned to its original position miraculously. I did not clamp it or do anything to it. I literally just set it in the bed of my truck so it can cool down because it was so hot, and it's miraculously returned to its original position. So I don't know what to think, to be honest with you. I'm still going to reach out to Springfield. I haven't talked to them yet, but the rail that was drooping previously seems to have returned itself to 0, or where it originally started. So I'll let you know what Springfield says. All right, so as you guys can tell, the dust cover or the rail, whatever you want to call it, returned to the original position after it had cooled down. And so let's talk a little bit about Springfield's response to this, and also some things that I have as takeaways. So I'm going to read you guys Springfield's response to this in a moment, but before we do, I just want to point out 2 things. And the first thing is the gun was absolutely 100% reliable through all 500 rounds of that test. We did not take it easy on the gun. Again, I added a little bit of lube to it after it was just scalding hot, and that's when I noticed the rail was sagging a bit. But again, through all 500 rounds, regardless of that little gap that we had growing there in the front, it was reliable 100%. Another thing I want to mention that I was a bit unfair to the Hellcat for during the review was the flex in the rail. So here we have an Icarus frame, but believe me, I'll take my word for it. It happens with the original OEM SIG frame as well. I was pulling down on this and saying, I don't think it should spread. Now it was already slouching. It already had expanded a little bit. So I get that point, but these all have a little bit of flex to them with my fingertips. So including the SIG frame itself. Now I don't have this one on the gun because it's the Icarus frame, but they flex. They all flex about equally. So that's another thing that I was talking about at the range, that I didn't really put it up to the SIG and test the SIG against it. So I was a little unfair to the Hellion, kind of calling it out for that gap. Clearly looked weird to me and I thought was going to be an issue. Turned out to not be an issue with reliability, but I was also then tugging on it, pulling it down, and I don't know what I was expecting, if it was going to break off or something, but I was giving it more crap for flexing when in fact other polymer frame guns do the same exact thing in its class. So now that we got those 2 things out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the second most important thing when it comes to a firearm besides reliability to me is customer service. And this is where Springfield's response comes into play. So I called Springfield, I spoke to their head of marketing, and I told them about the experience that I had with the Hellcat Pro Comp. And this was their official response, and I'll read it to you guys here directly. In our extensive high round count testing, we have not seen what you experienced. It is possible under the right environmental conditions, combined with prolonged high rate of fire, that the dust cover reached an unusually high temperature and exhibited slight expansion. Minor expansion under extreme conditions is normal, as is the return to its original condition when cooled. In order to melt the polymer, you would have to shoot the gun to such a high temperature that you wouldn't be able to hold it. We'll give you some extra mags in the mail. We'll get you some extra mags in the mail for your 1,000-round test. So life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And I've believed that for a very long time. That response was the only correct response from them. To explain it in a little bit more detail, based on the conversation that I had with their marketing manager, essentially this polymer, when it's heated to higher temperatures, may start to expand. So these things are actually poured to a larger diameter and they shrink down to the size that the gun actually is. And so his guess was we were shooting in the 95 to 100 degree heat of Texas. The gun was resting on the tailgate in the direct sunlight while we were reloading mags. It was me and two other gentlemen reloading mags. So we were loading as fast as we possibly could. And so we were getting this gun as hot as we possibly could. It's just a very unrealistic situation for a concealed carry type, personal handgun, a carry handgun. It's a very unrealistic test. And I even mentioned at the beginning of the video, but again, it did not affect the reliability, which is the number one thing. Obviously, I don't think anyone wants to see that rail kind of drooping after you shoot a bunch of rounds through it. No matter what the round count is, I don't want to really see that, but it didn't affect the reliability. So did it change my confidence in this pistol or carrying this pistol to defend my life with? Absolutely not. And in fact, Springfield's response, which is like, hey, we'll send you some more mags so you could run it even harder the second time, was the only correct response to that issue that I had. Again, to them, they're like, hey, it's not really an issue. The polymer expands when it gets extremely hot, which it was extremely hot. This takedown lever itself right here was so hot that I burned myself touching it. It was like suppressor level heat coming off this slide. These little guns, they get so hot. And it's not just the Hellcat. The SIG X Macro as well gets extremely hot. And to be fair, we did not run enough rounds through the SIG to see if that were to happen with SIG's frame. So again, this is not a comparison video. This is just me explaining to you guys. I'm not apologizing for Springfield. Again, this gun was sent to me for free, so I'm gonna put it through its paces so that you guys know if you spend your hard-earned money on this, whether it's worth it or not. And in my opinion, it still is. I'd still carry this, and I plan on making this my EDC or putting it in the rotation at least and shooting a lot more rounds through it to prove to myself and to all you guys that it is gonna remain reliable. Now, because of that slight expansion and that droop that we had on this rail, kind of derailed me. I was gonna do some more comparisons, shooting it side by side with a SIG P365X Macro Comp. But we kind of got, again, sidetracked and I accidentally deleted the last 4 mags of that test. But I assure you, the rail did not slouch any further. And then when it cooled down like an hour, hour and a half later, when I first looked at it, it might have gone back sooner. But when I first looked at it an hour and a half later, I was definitely assuming that rail was going to stay in the position it was in, and it shrunk back to its original position. So is this a huge issue? Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Again, my opinion, I'm of the opinion that it is not. The gun remained reliable. It ate all 500 rounds that I put through it. Again, is it a great look? No, but the gun remained reliable. So with that being said, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down in the comments below whether you think it's a bigger issue than I'm making it out to be, or Springfield's making it out to be. They did not ask for the gun back or anything like that. To them, they were just like, look, that's a completely unrealistic test, but the gun remained reliable, and we have confidence it will continue to remain reliable even if you run it harder than you did. So that says a lot to me about the company and their confidence in this firearm. So with that being said, guys, we're going to end the video right here. Please let me know what kind of tests you want to see in the future, what kind of videos you want to see. If you guys want to support the channel, liking, commenting, subscribing is super played out, but even just talking shit in the comment section, smashing that like button, all of it helps, guys, tremendously. And also check your subscriptions, because I've had a couple people comment about them miraculously being unsubscribed multiple times. So make sure you check your subscription. It really helps me out, guys. And then if you guys need anything, you want to also support the channel, you can use bro code RDB10 over at brownells.com. They are the biggest supporter of the channel. Secondly, Battlehawk Armory, they tend to have a lot of cheap and good prices on the internet. If you use bro code RDB, it lets them know that I sent you over there, as well as Downrange Thermal RDB5 saves you guys 5% off over at Downrange Thermal. So with that being said, I love you guys. Christ is king. Drink a lot of water. And until next time, stay safe, stay dangerous. Range Day Bro, out.